press conference in London to announce what I still can't really believe. I'm sure many of you are sitting here can't quite believe it as well. Eubank Jr against Benn. October the 8th, O2 Arena, live and exclusive on DAZN pay-per-view. I wish we had 7 O2 arenas. This fight is an absolute monster. The biggest in British boxing, perhaps one of the biggest ever in the sport in this country. I'm delighted to be sitting here alongside our co-promoter Callie Sowland and Wasserman Boxing. Thanks to Calla, Team Eubank, Team Benn for coming together to make this iconic fight. This fight, so many people at this table, and Calla not quite as much, but he grew up with it as well. We all grew up with this rivalry. The greatest rivalry in British boxing. In 1990, I was 11 years old. I remember one of the greatest nights for our family, my family, when Chris Eubank Jr, Chris Eubank Sr stopped Nigel Benn to win the world middleweight title in Birmingham. 3 years later, I remember the night so clearly, a hazy night at Old Trafford, over 45,000 people, 15 million people on terrestrial TV watched the rematch. Now, almost 30 years on, we get to see part 3. An incredible moment. These two step up for what will be, as I said, the biggest fight in British boxing. Before we go to the fighters, I'm going to pass over to Calla Sowland to say a few words. Again, Calla, our thanks to you for just making an event that has just absolutely lit up British boxing.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the presser of all pressers. Yes, we've done quite a few big events together, Eddie. I've never had such a negotiation like the last 4 weeks. Many thanks to the CEO of Matchroom, Frank Smith, who has helped very much to make this possible as well. It's been a long, long road. Not as long as some people think. The starting gun was fired a bit early on the deal being closed when we hadn't actually exchanged any contracts yet. But we are dealing with a monster, not a heavyweight world championship, not a unification, not a special grudge match. We're dealing with a family feud. We're dealing with a feud that started on the 18th of November 1990. Eddie touched on it. I feel a bit out here because everyone up here really has been involved in the first fights. I was involved. I fell back in love with boxing thanks to that era. I think that this fight reaches a demographic, a walk of life, people in walks of life that have nothing to do with boxing anymore. The plus 40s, the interest around what happened back then, 18 million, 19 million on terrestrial television, 500 million viewers around the world. I read that this morning on Google. I assume that's true, Eddie. Sounds very like Barry there. But anyways, 500 million viewers around the world for the second fight. You don't need to sell it. But look at the character or the gladiators we have up here. They fought their way out of their father's shadows in their own right. They sit up here now and put it all on the line. Family, legacy. I don't think that there's any title, any mantle you can place on it bigger than that. We've called it Born Rivals. I'm sure you'll all create your own headlines for it, legacy, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, there's more at stake at this fight than there is in any other fight I've ever been involved with in 20-something years in boxing. I think that's the best way I can summarise it.
Thanks, Calla. You're correct. You talk about the demographics of those plus 40s, people who are growing up watching the original rivalry, plus 40s, plus 60s, plus 80s, everybody that watched that rivalry, and now the younger generation that have grown up watching these two great fighters. I'll go to Team Benn firstly. Conor, we'll start with you. Amazing we're sitting here. It was just a conversation in the office, really. We were talking about Thurman, we were talking about Danny Garcia, we were talking about making our move for the world welterweight title. It was just a conversation that came up and you just said you'd take this fight in a heartbeat. You were true to your word, simply too big to turn down.
I've said that numerous times. This is a fight that makes sense for now. The world title's still the goal, but you can't, this is once in a lifetime. This is a fantasy fight for the British public. I mean, forget about how far apart we were when I first turned pro. The names were still mentioned to me. Eubank was still mentioned to me before I even had my debut fight. So it's just been brewing, and the stars have aligned for October the 8th.
Talk about this rivalry. You obviously grew up in it, you've seen it before, you would have watched the first fight, you see the second fight. They even talked about a third, not even so long ago as well. Talk about a fight being personal. This is personal in different ways. I'm sure you have respect for each other, but this is something that's almost been in you from the day you were born.
Do you know what, as Chris said, you know, we both walk the same road, so you got to respect that, respect all fighters, but when we get in there, we do settle the family business, you know, and I'm taking care of the family business. You know, the last fight was a draw, and you know, it's about time I set the score straight.
Do you see that hunger from Chris Eubank Jr? He's been in the game longer than you, he's been in those big fights before. We know how ferocious you are, even in interviews, but do you want this more than him? Is that what it comes
I believe so, but at the end of the day, it's not my job to worry about what he thinks or what he does or, you know, his team and how he's approaching this. I worry about what I got to do. And, you know, I've always worried about what I got to do, irrelevant of everyone else and what they're doing. I'm focused on delivering October the 8th, and I ain't failed to deliver. I ain't tasted a loss, and I don't plan on taking a loss October 8th.
Come back to you shortly, Conor. Tony, remember many of those conversations in the office, and you had to do the right job, almost making sure the deal was right for Conor Benn, because if it was up to him, 160 wouldn't have been a problem. He still would have signed for the fight. Important, obviously, him stepping up a division and a little bit, that the weight was right, you feel the terms are right, you know that weight is a disadvantage in this fight, but you feel his other attributes will be enough to secure victory on October the 8th.
Well, I think this fight, you know, was always aligned to happen, even from the first day that Conor Benn put gloves on. You know, it's always been spoken about. Like Conor said, it's a fight for the British public. It's probably the biggest fight of this decade or of this generation, and obviously I wanted to see the fight happen, and I believe in Conor Benn. You know, he's so diligent in his training and the knowledge of the boxing, you know, of his boxing game, and I believe that the weight 157 is what Chris Eubank's team asked for. We agreed to that, so I believe that he'll be strong at that weight. Conor Benn, he spars with all the world level middleweights and super middleweights in my gym day in, day out. You know, I don't, when he fights these days, I don't put him in with welterweight sparring. I always go in with middleweight sparring, because, you know, the welterweights, they just don't hold up to him, so I know what he's made of, and I know what he can bring to the table, and that's, you know, that was a big factor in taking this fight. And you know, Conor really wanted the fight. I spoke to Nigel on the phone about it. Nigel said the fight, you know, it's ready to happen, and if the fight presented itself, then it's there, and we're here now, and October the 8th is not far away.
I mean, you look like you're in your prime now, but you were definitely in your prime when these fights were happening previously. Like many, can you quite believe that this fight is happening, and also the size of the first fights? You grew up in that area, you were good friends with Nigel Benn as well, just the greatest rivalry in British boxing.
Yeah, like me and Nigel go back a long way. I was actually sparring with him around that time, and I was at the second fight, you know, at Old Trafford, and you know, what great fights they was, and he's lived on through all like the last 30 years. People still speak about them fights, and for this fight to happen now, Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr, you know, like we say, it's like a fantasy fight. A lot of the people, the public probably never thought this day would come, but I always thought this day would come. I always thought that this fight would happen, and the time is right now for it to happen, and what a fight it's going to be. You know, Chris Eubank Jr is a great fighter, a fantastic athlete, and Conor Benn is the same, and they're both, you know, they're both their father's sons, and both, you know, they both speak like their fathers, and they both fight like their fathers. So, you know, I expect a great fight on October the 8th, but obviously I've got confidence in my fight with Conor Benn being victorious.
Finally, Conor, those conversations with your dad around this fight, we've seen him on Instagram a little bit, he looks very, very excited. He was over here, I believe he's going to be over for this fight as well, and perhaps even in the gym. He had no doubts as well, this was the right move for you, and he looks almost excited as the rest of us to see this number 3.
No, do you know what? My dad's messaged me a few times after Eubank's fought and said, you know what, son, this fight can happen, sooner rather than later. And here we are, mate. But yeah, he's, you can imagine what he's like at home. He just can't wait to go over and do the camp with him.
Callum, a few questions for your team as well?
Yeah, I mean, Junior, I remember about 4 weeks ago we had a conversation going through the options on the table. And I remember exactly, it was a Saturday morning my time, I think it was around midnight your time. And we went through the options and you were very adamant, Callum, we'll do the Benn route. And it was the way you said it, because the other options were interesting options. I know which one I wanted, but it wasn't me to fight. So what was the burning desire on your side? Because in our conversations, you're not a man of too many words, but the way you said it to me was so direct. Normally you're not, you sort of let me almost choose the opponents, whereas this time it was very much, it's him. What was that?
This is a fight that nothing like this has ever happened before in the history of the sport. Two legends who went into a ring 30 years ago and inspired a nation, became superstars, etched their names into not just boxing history, but British history. They did that. 17 million people watching these guys fight twice. And now, 30 years later, their sons, who have both made themselves in the sport of boxing, are going to get in the ring, and the Eubank Benn name is going to go to war for a third time. Something like this has never happened, and I don't think it ever will happen again, ever. That is why I took this fight. That was the main reason I wanted to be a part of this, because I wanted to be involved in something that has never been done before and that can never be replicated. It's exciting, it's very exciting.
Obviously, a lot of us have been looking at old videos and the build-ups to the first and second Eubank Benns, and seen you often referred to Nigel as a very good puncher, but just a puncher. How would you see Conor? As a puncher? Just a puncher? Or what's your take on him as an athlete?
What's my take on him? He's undefeated. The hype train around him is full steam ahead. He has momentum. He has knockout wins, highlight reel knockout wins. He's doing a lot for himself in the sport. He's been able to get himself into a position where this fight is accepted by the public and makes sense. He is big enough now, physically and profile-wise. He's undefeated in 21 fights. He has that fight, he has that spirit. So we're here, we've made it, we've done it, we've signed the contracts, and we're about to make history. That is, it's exciting. I didn't think, I always kind of thought that this fight may happen, but never this soon. I thought maybe, towards the end of my career, we'll get it on. But I'm seeing on social media that I'm already at the end of my career now. 32 years old, he doesn't have it anymore. He's lost that killer instinct. Roy Jones he's taken away his fire, and he's a playboy now, and he plays poker and he travels. He doesn't really want it. Whereas Ben is the young lion. He's hungry. He's a destroyer. He's knocking guys out. Eubank, he just goes the distance. He doesn't have the power. That's the narrative that people are pushing, and it's incredible. It's incredible to see that, It's incredible to see people say that, and it's not just fans. It's actually people in the industry who should know better and who should have more respect for what I've done. But it's okay. You know, I'm used to people being disrespectful and doubting me and saying I can't do it, and being in these 50-50 fights all the time. You know, I had someone today say, "Oh, it's a 50-50 fight." You think that it isn't 50-50 to me. But I like that people think that, because, you know, if everyone thought I was going to go out there and just win, then it wouldn't really be a fight. It would be a fight worth having. He believes he can go out there and stop me. He says he can be the first man to do that. You've got balls, kid. You've got some big old balls.
And you'll find out, mate. Don't you worry about that. You'll find out.
Well, maybe I will.
You playing the underdog card. Oh yeah, they're challenging me.
I don't think I'm the underdog.
No, that's the card. That's the card you're trying to play.
No, I'm not.
You're trying to play that.
You can't beat
me being dropping weights at disadvantage, mate. You suggested the weight to us, and we agreed. We just simply applied. You make the weight. That was all.
Did you send the contract to me, or did we send it?
Oh well, sorry. It's your team that are informing my team. So that's not a me problem. We was told you can make this weight.
I can make it.
Okay, well then that's saying a disadvantage. Surely going up 2 weights is a disadvantage.
We both have advantages and disadvantages leading up to this fight.
Okay, fair, but you're just playing the underdog card.
Conor, you can't beat me.
Okay, but I'm going to say the same about you.
How can I be playing the underdog?
You're not seeing this as a 50-50 as a problem with your ego.
No, it's not.
No, of course it is.
So,
Well, you taking me lightly is going to be your problem.
I mean, yes, I am taking you lightly.
Okay, well then you'll soon find out and soon regret it, like I made every single one.
I can't do anything else but
okay, that's fine, and you carry on playing poker and losing.
I underestimate you because I know what I am.
Okay, and I can say the same.
I don't see the pedigree and the grade that people are giving you. I don't see it.
Okay, but
maybe I'm wrong.
But then no one sees it in you. The self-belief is one hell of a thing, isn't it?
Maybe they don't.
Borderline delusional.
Yeah. I've been called delusional my whole
And
career.
so have I, mate.
So we're both just two delusional guys.
Well, that's fine.
And I guess we'll find out who's the most delusional in a couple of months, which is the sexy thing about it.
We'll see, won't we?
But I'm not an underdog in my mind. In my mind, it's impossible for you to win. But I like that people are saying that you can beat me, because it just gives me that extra kick up the arse to get up and do what I need to do to get ready for this fight. The weight, I'm going to have to get to a weight which I haven't been since I was 18 years old. That it's going to be tough. It's going to be very painful to do. And then, not being able to put on a certain amount of weight after the fight, the restrictions, they're fair. They are fair because you are coming up. I won't be 100% on the night. You will.
So you won't be?
No, I won't.
Oh, come on, mate.
I won't.
I see. You know what that screams? That screams excuses.
Well, I mean,
I'm not going to be 100% on the night.
I can't be anything but real. I can't just. I'm just telling my truth.
The weight, though.
That's the weight we agreed on. I can't be 100% when I have to go down to a weight I've never been to, and then I can't rehydrate fully. I can't be 100%, but that's fair because if I'm 100%, it's a public execution. We can't do that. So I have to be at a disadvantage to make the fight reasonable. Let's be serious.
Your problem is your ego. You see that speaking there? That's your ego.
I mean, is it?
That's all ego, mate.
I don't know.
Same as the name first, when everyone knows it's Ben Eubank. The same as the ring walk. The same as all the other bollocks. Same as all that.
I'll be 60%.
You have all that.
I'll be 60% on the night, and that will be enough to do whatever I want with you.
Well, I'll just go back to the questions for a second. So you both have gone back and forth, not only today, but in the last few weeks on social media. And you put out something, I think war is coming, with a subliminal message in there. What would be your message to Conor, what he will experience at your hands in the ring? What experience do you want him to go through in that ring with you? What's your aim? I know you do this often before fights. What would be your your statement to that? What should we prepare for?
His old man isn't here today, my old man isn't here today, but I'm going to be his fatherly figure during the lead up to this fight and on the night.
Excuse me, 1 second, Chris. Whose dad was the old man in the whole career? Whole career.
I'm just saying.
Oh no, I don't need no fucking figure. You do.
I'm
I
going
don't.
to be your father.
No,
for this
you
fight.
do. I don't.
I'm going to take you to school. I'm going to walk you through the doors. I'm going to sit you down in class, and I'm going to stick on you, and I'm going to teach you every single lesson you need to learn. That's how I see the fight playing out. And if you want to ask me, do I have any advice for him? My advice is
No one asked. No one asked. You're getting ironed out. No one asked.
Calais asked, so I'm gonna be polite and
You
answer.
didn't ask. You said what you got to say. You said what you had to say. No one's asking for your advice, mate.
My advice to Conor is, get sparring partners who are going to really hurt you for the next 8 weeks. That's the best shot you have because,
But that makes zero sense, doesn't it? That makes zero sense.
October 8th, the pain you're going to experience is, if you don't get your ass kicked in the gym, then it's just going to be too much of a shock to your system when I put it on you on the night. So get some tough guys in your training camp for this fight, please. That way we can make it more of a competitive event on October 8th.
I'm going to ask a question now, and Eddie, you might want to ask Conor the same question, because it's clear that there's no real reason for the dislike other than the family names. I mean, how was it in your household growing up, the Benn name? Do you remember it as a child, that name? Obviously you were a teenager. What was the, let's say, at the dinner table, was it mentioned? Is it something that you grew up to hate?
I don't hate anybody. I don't have that.
But the words are quite strong, so it's like it's.
I would never give anybody that type of power over me to hate them. That's a very passionate and strong emotion that I would never give anyone the power over me. I don't even dislike Conor. He hasn't done anything to me personally, so I don't dislike him. But at the same time, this fight is personal. The things that his father put my father through, I can't forgive and I can't forget. And I grew up, I watched the mental stress and the toll it took on him preparing for those fights. I watched the injuries and my mother having to look after him after the fights and him going to hospital and him losing half of his tongue. I watched Nigel tell my father on national TV that he hated him. These are all things that I can't forget, I can't forgive. And this is a fight where both our family names are on the line. And we have to uphold those names to the best of our ability. We're both going to do that. That's where it makes it personal. I can't. Nigel is his shot at his losses being avenged is Conor beating me. That's the only way he can ever avenge those losses. That's the only way he can kind of redeem himself. All right, well, my son beat his son. That will help him sleep better at night. I can't let him get those extra hours of sleep. I can't do that to my old man. I have to uphold the family name. I have to do what's right. I have to make sure that the Eubank name stays on top of the Benn name. I'm not letting the Benn name even the school.
Conor, on your side, is it just a little bit deeper?
He just made it very deep. No, it's not that deep, really, to be honest. Dad had a draw the last fight. We know he should have won. But, that's that. I'm going to get in there and handle business. And, I'll settle the score.
He's definitely taking you lightly in this fight, believes he can beat you at 60%. Is that mind games? Is that...
I could not really care less, to be honest with you. If he thinks he can beat me at 60%, that's his problem. There's nothing to do with me. I'm going to prepare for him like I prepare for everyone else. And I'm going there, and if I see a slight opening, I'll take him out. I'm going to go for it. You know, he needs quality sparring. That's what he needs. He needs to focus. He needs to stop worrying about everything else. You know, while I'm up at 2, 3 in the morning training, while he's probably still out playing poker. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, I'm hungry. I'm ready for this. Is he though?
Am I ready? Well, currently no. I'm overweight right now, and
Okay, well I'm ready now.
I haven't really been in the gym consistently.
Do you know what? I keep hearing excuses.
No, we have 8 weeks.
No, but that's like just
We have 8 weeks. So after this press conference, the training camp starts. You know,
I'm 3 weeks in already.
the weight cut starts. You know, I'll slow down on the poker if that makes you happy. And
Well, no, because when I give you a good beating, I don't want to hear no excuses. Oh, you know, but I was 60%.
there's no
Oh, you know,
excuses.
but I lost on poker. Oh, but I, you know, I'm at a disadvantage and all that.
there's no excuses, Conor. I'm telling you.
Okay, good
you
then.
can't beat
Good
me.
then. No excuses, please.
You cannot beat me. So, you know, I'll get down to the weight. I will do that.
So you should.
I'm not going to get fined hundreds of thousands of pounds for being a pound overweight.
Why are you playing that card? You suggested the weight, mate.
It's not a card. I'm just simply saying what are the penalties if I miss the weight. That's what I'm saying. And
To
I'm
be
saying
fair, you
that
do need that money for poker, don't you?
well, let's not get excited. But you know, I will make the weight, and you know, I'm not going to kill myself in this training camp. You know, I always, you know, preparing for fights, I kill myself in these camps. You know, I train like an animal. I spar killers. I'm not doing any of that for this fight because one, I don't need to, and two, you know, the weight is the main thing for me. Weight cut. You know, I want longevity in the sport, and what a lot of people don't know is that what takes it out of you, what really puts, you know, the miles on the clock is hard training camps. Sparring 3-4 times a week for 8 weeks. That takes a toll on you when you do that for years and years and years. I don't need to do that. I don't need to toll myself for this fight. I just need to make sure I make the weight, make sure I'm fit, make sure I, you know, get up to my 60%, and take care of business, you know.
Chris, can I just ask, I really get the feeling that you think you're going to walk straight through Conor Benn.
Absolutely. Come how you want.
Can I ask you both a question? Conor, maybe starting with you. On the training camp, you've obviously had lots of hard training camps in the past, but do you think that the mindset around this fight is going to change the camp? Is it going to bring
No, mate,
different
so I train-
dimension to it?
No, because I train hard regardless. You know, each fight I treat as my world title fight. There's nothing more I can possibly do. And, you know, it's exactly the same for this fight. If I can raise the bar in training, then I will. If I can push myself more, then I will. But I don't know if I can. I do everything I can anyway. I'm a motivated, young, hungry fighter. So there's nothing more I can do. Irrelevant of who it is, that could be anyone sitting there. I'm still going to train hard. Is there more pressure on my shoulders from the public about this fight? Of course there is, and so he's going to be feeling it as well. But you know, I'm going to treat him the same way I treat everyone else. I prepare the same way I prepare for everyone else, and that's full steam ahead.
And when
Me, on the other hand, I won't be preparing like I usually prepare. Like I said, I want to keep
What happens if I beat you,
gas in the
Chris?
tank.
What do you do then? What's
Conor, if
No, just answer the
No,
question. Don't go, Conor, if you beat me, blah, blah,
I'm
blah.
going to answer your question if you calm down for a second. You have nothing to lose in this fight. If you pull off a miracle and beat me, you're a superstar. You know, you're a made man. You're out your father's shadow. It's beautiful.
I'm out my father's shadow already, mate.
No, you're not yet. Not
Okay,
yet.
that's your opinion.
Yeah, you're not.
That's your
proving
opinion.
it. You're not proving it.
That's your opinion.
This is your chance to do that.
No, I disagree.
And if you lose, it's too early. it was too early, it was too soon.
You keep thinking about excuses though. No. You don't hear me come out with one excuse. Oh, you know, he's a heavier weight and I'm taking the gown. I can't give a rat's ass. I think I can beat you. I'll beat you. Forget the weight. Forget everything else when you're jumping up 2 weights. If I think I can beat you, I'll beat you. That's why I've taken this fight. Don't hear me going, you know, I'm only going to be 40% because you're two weights heavier. Oh, you know, I'm not going to prepare for this. That's what you keep coming out. I don't need you to make up excuses for me if you think I'm going to lose.
No excuses.
Well then.
You know, for me, this is actually... So for him, it's a win-win. For me, it's a lose-lose. If I lose to Conor Benn on the 8th of October, I'm finished. Finished. I can't, you know, my goal is to fight for a world title within the next year. I can't lose to Conor Benn and then say, hey, let me fight for a middleweight world title. It just can't happen. And if I win, I'm most likely not going to get the credit for it because, oh, you know, he was too big or Conor, you know, whatever. So it's a lose-lose. All the risk, all the pressure is actually on me for this fight. I mean, he's got his pressure, but I've got a lot more to lose. So you're in a great position. You know, you're going to make, you know, an absurd amount of money.
I get paid already, don't mate.
It's a great business move on your part, but you know, make no mistake. You know, the money you make is all good, but on October 8th, I'm going to liquidate. I am going to do that, and everyone's going to see it. But it's okay. You're taking a shot at greatness, and I do respect that. I do respect that. You know, I did the same thing against Groves. The guy was 20 pounds heavier than me on the night. The guy was a completely different weight class to me. Me and you are going to be within this. You know, we're going to be within 3 to 5 pounds of each other on the night. So it's actually not, you know, that much of a, you know, people have gone through worse. You know, you've got to take your beating to get to where you want to get to, and this is the time that I think that you're going to have to take a beating to get to where you want to get to. I can't wait to see what happens.
Ronnie, one for you, mate. I mean, you've been as involved with this over the years as anybody, across 2 generations. Of course, the history, you were there, you saw it all. I guess back then in 1990 in Birmingham or at Old Trafford, we never thought that the 2 sons would be getting in there, putting on the biggest fight in British boxing, but just another mouth-watering clash.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, I feel privileged, obviously, to be with his father for all those years, as in 20-odd world title fights. Then I've got the same again with his son. I was there when he was born. I've always been with him. I think it's going to be a great fight. The first Eubank Benn fight was brutal. I was in the corner, and you could hear him saying, "Oh, you're punching like a girl." And you could hear and I said the very after the fight, don't let him fight again. No man should have to go through that again. And I quite honestly think this is going to be as brutal as again. This next fight will be brutal because they both got their passion, which I saw in his father and I saw in Archie, but I knew them both well. I've got the greatest respect for Conor Benn and his trainer. I go back a lot of time with you, Tony. I know he's been in the game 26 years. I've been in 46. No disrespect. And it'll be a great fight. Eubanks is too battle-hardened and too big for Conor. But Conor's trying to come again, but he will get beat.
Thank you, Ronnie. Keller, I think we're...
Yeah, I think we're good. I just have one last one for Conor. You mentioned the pressures. Chris sort of answered it before. I just wanted when you say the pressures, is it the family pressure? Is it the setting the score from the victory of Senior over your dad, or is it pressure for yourself, or what's the?
I'd probably say pressure for myself. I mean, from the exterior, everyone else here, you know, it doesn't really matter. My dad's proud of me regardless for what I've done in the sport and continue to do in the sport. But pressure on myself to win. You know, I put a lot of pressure on myself to win. You know, that's what gets me going, and that's why I train the way I train. Because I love winning.
Thank you, Keller. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Chris. Conor.
You ready?
Tony. Guys, thank you for attending. This is the start of a huge run of events over 3 months. Of course, Joshua Usyk next week. Canelo Alvarez against Triple G, September 17th. And maybe the biggest of all of them. Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn, October the 8th, O2 Arena, live and exclusive on DAZN pay-per-view.